Hello, my DevNation friends from everywhere in the world. Today, live from Cary, North Carolina and Westford, Massachusetts, I have the great pleasure to welcome you to another Tech Talk. And today's guest is, again, special because I'm going to introduce you Alex Porcelli, which is a fellow Brazilian and a very dear friend, a very brilliant engineer working for Red Hat. So, Porcelli, welcome.
Hello, Edson, and hello to our DevNation audience.
So yes, I'm just enable your screen and you are ready to go.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for you, Edson, to invite me to present here a topic that I am passionate about. I've been dedicating my 10 plus years of my career to this topic. So I will start here talking about how to build successful business Java applications and basically how to deliver more, code less, and communicate better. That's a challenge that I will show you today how to do that. So building business applications kind of is a way to translate business needs into runnable software. Of course, it's easier said than done. There's a lot of challenges that we go. In the ecosystem of software development, we have several stakeholders, and we have a lot of challenge to go through things like communication between all these stakeholders and increase the agility of software delivery. And in this particular communication, this particular talk, one of the points that I want to highlight is the communication between two personas, is the developers and the domain experts. When you build software business application, you usually have one domain expert being a business analyst, being a product owner, or a mix of all these people in the process of to build the software that has the domain knowledge, someone that understands the business aspects. And you have the developers that, of course, over time they acquire a lot of this knowledge about the domain, but they need to communicate. They need basically developers to translate these business needs to code. What is fine, it's our job. But the challenge is when you need to make change and improve it and evolve the system, how you communicate back to the domain experts what you are implementing, what you are doing. Usually there is an impedance mismatch between the code, that like Java code that we write, and the understanding of the technology by the domain experts. So usually you need to translate these in diagrams and flows and everything to better explain what's happening. And this flow of information usually there is a lot of space for misunderstandings and things. So how we can improve that, right? And not just that, it's deliver more, it's important. So you can do more and deliver faster and more agile. And in the same time, coding less code, less bugs, and that you can rely on something that provides out of the box some capabilities that you don't need to do yourself. And of course, increase the communication. For doing that, today I will present you the Cogito. The Cogito is a cloud-native business automation project that builds intelligent applications backed by battle-tested capabilities. And in this demo that I'll show you, we use basically three big components of these battle test capabilities. First, we design a decision services. That's based on the OMG standard called DMN, Decision Model Notation. Later, then we will do this model, a business process that will orchestrate, among other things, the decisions and also some steps and user interactions. And for the user interactions, we also use one capability provided by the BPMN itself, that the user tasks. So before we jump into the code, I'd like to give you an overview what we are talking in this demo that I showed today. So it is a very simple app that basically is a driver's license application. So you have a user, an end user that will apply online in a website. They'll submit their request. So we have some decision to say if this user is able to drive, so if it's over some age. And if it is, it will be on a queue waiting for someone from the town to schedule the road test. And once they schedule, this person from the town will evaluate if it pass or fail. And if pass, we'll emit the driver's license. Otherwise, we'll just communicate to the user that it fails. So it's pretty simple. But the idea is to prove the point about how you model that. But just before we go into the code of business automation, I want to show here a demo, this application completely written in Quarkus. Well, everyone loves Quarkus, right? So here I have a plain Java code, no business automation side, no cogito in this project that we can explore. Of course, we have the Podio here, is the applicant that we just collected three data points, the name, age, and ID. We have the application, it's the orchestration of all these capabilities that have three different services. We have the can drive service, basically checking for the age. We have the road test service that basically it is a state machine that you can go from one state to another. So I had to build all this code by myself and make some restrictions. You can just transition from one state to another, otherwise it fails. And another capability is the driver's license emission services. That's basically here a sysout message. Let's see it a little bit running. Oops. Compile. This is Quarkus. It's a pretty simple application. Let's get this started. I have here some HTTP requests. It's pretty basic. And one thing that I want to highlight first is all the capabilities that Quarkus has to do this. Oops, it's building here. 1 second. Okay. Okay, it is listening. Let's send this request and see how it goes. I think the share screen is a little bit hard on my machine. Send this request. Okay, and it's scheduled for waiting. We have other capabilities to the status. Oops, in here, I can check the status of this applicant that's still waiting, and I can schedule. Let's move this here. Send a request. That's okay. It's the status. It's the schedule. Let's check again the status. It's the schedule, and let's say it fails the test and send the request. Okay, true forward. The status is fail. That's pretty basic application, not much code. But again, this is Quarkus, so we are in dev mode. I can change some rules here that the business can drive. It's 18. In some places in US, we are enable people to drive at 16 age. So let's see one thing here. Let's try to apply. If you have 16, UID 2, it fails. Applicant can drive, sorry. But if we change this to, let's come here to 16, save it, and apply again. Send request. It's rebuilding. Okay, now I can. So pretty basic. But now, how we can get exactly this application, but reduce the amount of code is to producing the same quality application. And not only that, how we can better communicate, as I said, because if you point to some domain experts, to look into these road test services, this state machine, is not that trivial. It's not understanding. Of course, you can draw it to translate this to a drawing, but you have more work to do. How we can do similar things with the business automation that is provided by Cogito. So I'm stopping here and I open a new VS Code. And this is just a scaffolded project. I have not much time, so I need to cover a lot of topics. I prepared a little bit already. But it's good to highlight Cogito is a Quarkus extension. All you need is a Quarkus build project, and you add the Cogito extensions. And that's basically what I already have here with some HTTP requests already predefined. I brought to this project the POJO, the applicant, and the emission services that we reuse at some point. So before jumping in the orchestration, let's start by creating the decision if I can or cannot drive. And I will start by typing here, can drive.dmn. As I said, the DMN is the standard that we'll use here. We'll load the editor, the DMN editor. For the DMN editor, what I have in my VS Code, I have what I call the Cogito extensions. Here is, we have the Cogito extensions that is published in VS Code Store that you can use to add the DMN, BPMN files, and scenario simulation. Okay, this is a DMN. I recommend you to understand more to DMN. There is a site called Learn DMN in 15 minutes. It's perfect. But here I will just go over and create a very simple DMN. I'll start by the data type. We have a custom data type that's called applicant, right? That is a structure that has ID as a string. Here is. I have name also as a string, and I have the age as a number. And that's all data that I need for this particular decision that can drive. Back to the editor, now we model this decision. The decision here we have just two informations. The input node, that's something that we bring in this case, the applicant. So that representation of the applicant. Let me define here the data type. Data type here is applicant. And I will also have one decision node. Is where the decision will be made. And what we call this can drive. And the result is expected a Boolean. Okay. And I will connect this. So how you draw DMN, the applicant will input the can drive. There are multiple ways to define decisions in DMN, but what we use here in particular is one of the most used and business-friendly notation is called decision table. It looks very much like a spreadsheet that you can model your decision. For this particular one, I will not need the ID, not the driver's name. All I need is the age. So let's start by modeling equal or greater than 18, and that's going to be true for can drive. And then if it's less than 18, right, you will not be able to drive. And that's what we have. So it's all I need for the decision, to build a decision using DMN. As I mentioned, this is a Quarkus application. I will start with this. Oops, can you compile Quarkus dev? Take some time. It's building here. Okay, Quarkus being building, starting. A little bit more. Starting my machine is a little bit overwhelmed. Okay, we're going. How is it going? Cogito automatically will generate for us an endpoint so I can access this decision here. So let's go and see. Hopefully it's still loading. Okay, now we got it. Let's start with this can drive applicant with age 26. Send request. Here we are. 26 can drive. True. Awesome. Yes, correct. But if I send 16 now, let's see how it goes. It says false. And because we are in Quarkus, right? So to change it, as I mentioned in the previous application, all I need is to change this and save and submit again. So it will reload. Can try. Oops. It's reloading. 16, less than 16, false. Can drive through. That's what expected. So now we have the first step in our process to get the business application. We already have a visual way to define our decision that you can easily share this with someone with a little bit of training to understand what DMN is about. But that is just a decision. Now let's start doing some orchestration. Let's design the business process that we'll talk about. So I have here this BPMN file. That we will start by first get the input data. You have the input data. Okay, you have the input data that's expected the applicant, and now we will orchestrate. Before getting into the definition of the process, I defined previously some properties of this file. So the name of this file, that's the process application. I defined the package, but what's most important here, the process data, all the variables that will be available during the process. And basically we have here the applicant, the can drive, and the status. And we'll manipulate over the process this data. So we're starting in the beginning of the process, and the first task that we'll create is a business rule. So the first thing is can drive. And for that, I will use DMN, the same that we just used. I need some information from DMN. First is the namespace. Namespace is a way to make sure that this DMN file has a unique identifier, the namespace. The decision name is going to be can drive, and the model is can drive. That's basically what we have. And now what we need to do is to map the information, the inputs, outputs of this decision. So the first thing is the applicant. Oops. Be sure that I have. So me Porcelli DevNation .cogito.applicant that maps to the applicant. So that's the input. What I expect as output is can drive. That is a Boolean that I map to the can drive of the process variable. And that's the first step. I can drive or cannot drive. The next thing is, sure, what I do with that information. I will have what we call gateway. So I may have a different gateway. In this case, it's exclusive gateway. I can go one way or another way. If it is true, let's say, if I can drive, I will schedule a road test. If not, I will just notify this using a system out here. Notify can drive. Oops, can drive. And that is this here, so and here. So for the road test in particular, we in the previous application we create our own state machine. But what we need actually is just a human user task, someone that will interact, will pick up this claim and evaluate its pass or fail. And for this we have the road test user task. In this case, we will have road test here, and oops, yeah, I have no space. And I use this a particular actor here, and we'll see this why in a second. We'll go later why we pick John. But all I need is this, defining that actor Jones, and of course the assignments of the data. So we have again the applicant that maps to the applicant, and in this case, all I need is the status. That is a string that maps to the status string. And that's the whole that we need for the user task. And this will have some interface someone can interact with. And of course, we have APIs to access this information as well. But okay, we have the road test. What's come next? What next have is a different decision. So we have another path. So, or we go and emit the driver's license, or we notify the fail. Let's first notify the fail here. There's going to be a script. System out window n fail. And for the last one, all we want is now emit the proper driver's license, right? So it's what we call, and for that we use the same service code that we used in the previous one. That is this driver's license here. So first, let's map here, emit. And for that, I will first start by mapping the variables, where the assignments. We have the applicant. So this service needs the applicant that maps to this, and only that. There's no output. And now what we do is bring it that Java interface and the operations. So let's bring it here. This is my package. And this is the name of my class. And the operation is emit. And that's all I need in this step, and finish this. So basically here I have the outline of my process. The only thing that I need to finish is bringing the definition of the evaluation where you go to one path or another. So I got it back here. What I do is return can drive equals true. So if it's true, it goes this way. And here, all we do is equals false. So there's multiple ways to do that. So of course, it's Java, should just use, but it's just to make it clear what we want. And the road test here are going to be similar, but this time I have a string as a status. So how we're going to look like is status equals pass. And in here, status is different than pass, whatever it is. So here I have my process well defined. Let's just have a nicely definition, fail. Oops. So I have here the outline of my process. And at this point, it should be, unless I did something wrong, it should be executable. What I'll do here is save this file, and I will start see the application. Let's try this. I have my applicant and send a request. And this application is the same that I defined in the BPMN process. Let's see, this building is compiling. Everything should be okay. And okay, here I have my process. And I have my evaluation that I can drive through. Nothing happens. This is waiting. What I will do now here is open my browser to Quarkus. Oops, where's my browser? Okay, here I use the local host. My Quarkus application that is running on the dev UI. I have some capabilities here, and that's where we connect to why we are using the John, because we have, as default, we are using, for the management console of the Cogito, we have logged in as John. That's the default information. And here we have a process that we can visualize where we are. So we have all these features in here. So that's what the process is. But what we can also do, let's go back here. So that's another capability that you don't need to worry. You don't need to create a UI specific to your application. You can use this kind of user interface to interact with the status of your application. We also have the task console that gives you some interface for the task. So we don't have forms information here. That's one issue, that a bug that I have. For doing that, I will need to restart the Quarkus Dev mode. It will generate a specific OpenAPI information for that task that I just generated. So let's build it again. But while it's going, what I do also, when we show the process in the management console, we could see that the picture or the visualization of the process. The way to do that I can do is by exporting this file to SVG. We have this file created in here. Let me rename it to SVG just and replace the existing one here. And this is expected to be all I need. And as we have here, my machine is loading, is restarting. But hopefully we will have the task console available now. While we are waiting here, I want to make sure that we are making this demo available on GitHub. And for particularly the GitHub, what I want to show while my machine is showing, I have this published here. There's DevNation. There's the links in the slide later available. But I want to show one very interesting way. So we have this process here, the BPMN process, that I can visualize directly in GitHub, the process. For doing that magic, what we have is our team provided a Chrome extension that you can install, and will automatically understand when you are in GitHub. It will be able to display the decision DMN files or BPMN files directly in GitHub interface. And not only that, you can get, remember that we were talking about how you share these things with your business domain experts. You have this copy link to online editor. And let's copy this and open here. What it means is I can get access to this business model preview. It's an online tool that we have that will show exactly that GitHub file open on this browser. So any domain experts can navigate this information and can visualize directly in this without having to install VS Code, without having to install any particular tool. They can go directly and visualize in this online tool. And back in here, hopefully it's going well. Let's submit. Edson wants to submit. Let's make it a little bit more adjusted to maybe, I don't know. Send the request. And back to, okay, it's a lot of processing, reloading. So we have the process here. So 5BCB. Let's go localhost. Oops. Host 8080. Let's work with Dev UI. Let management console. We have the Cogito management console here that we see the active process. We just started this one here. And you see the SVG file that we just generated where your process is. So you have a visual representation where the process is. And now what we go here is back to the Dev UI. We have the test console capability that as logged in as John, I have my pending tasks. So when this is row test, and let's say it pass complete. So go to tasking box. I still have another one there, but let's get back to the manage console. So the one that we were looking is gone because the process is completed. And I can see in here all the flow that it went through. And if you go here, I have the execution that is out of the emit driver's license. So that is a general idea that I want to display. This is basically a developer experience that we are providing just using different models, not just Java code, but you can take advantage of business process and decisions to model your business without need to write your own state machine, your own mechanism to interact with users, and use your own UI to monitoring the processes. Back to my slides. That's in here. No, it's not this browser tab. So I have some links in here. Some reference links. We have the Cogito. We have the blog for our team that is responsible for Cogito. You have a lot of material and blog posts in there. Links for the VS Code extensions that you can install. We have the GitHub extensions, the code for the demo, and the link for my Twitter. With that, that's it, Edson.
Awesome. Thank you, Porcelli, for this amazing presentation. And I really like the demo because now I can drive with a proper driver license. Yeah, and so we have a question, and thank you, the audience. I can see people from everywhere in the world, multiple continents on the chat, and we got a question here. So I'm going to just show here in the screen for you. So can this be used as a low-code RPA? I think it means robotic process automation tool from Vinayak. Yeah.
Okay, RPA is part of business automation global space. Usually RPA is more associated to screen capture information that you automate clicks and buttons and inputs. This technology that we just show here can be integrated with these tools, of course. Because this is all building blocks, it's all Java code, you can write your own screen capture information. Of course you can.
Awesome. And I'm just capturing another question here. So let me disable this one. And now Joel de Matos, from Portugal, I guess. Yeah, he just asked, is Cogito a good fit if I need to have a lot of complex workflows that will be invoked like 1,000 times per second?
Absolutely. This is Quarkus. This is no more than Quarkus application. Quarkus is very efficient, and Cogito is as efficient as Quarkus is. There's a lot of mission critical applications out there, big customers, Red Hat customers, a lot of community users that relies on these capabilities of business process execution, business rules, and decisions. So yes, absolutely. Give it a try. You'll be impressed by the numbers.
Mhm. Awesome. And Chris Short from the OpenShift TV channel is saying that he loved your cloud lamp. So maybe you can set the link for him to buy one.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, yeah. And I noticed that you have this super nice Chrome extension and VS Code plugin to edit the information. Good job. I think it's super nice. And okay, I don't see any more questions on the chat, and we're already on top of the hour. So I would like to thank you, Porcelli, one more time for presenting us with this amazing content, and thanking you for watching this particular session.
Thank you very much, Edson.